Oh, do you want?
Yeah, I
those?
do actually.
That's
Thanks.
nice. It's good. I rolled it. Jacob, by the way. Hey.
Oh, hey.
One, two, three.
We are talking WTF. This one directed by Peter Harrow, who also co-wrote this movie. You know, when I first saw the title of this film, and you kind of start watching at the beginning of kind of a few minutes, you think, this might be a clever deconstruction of the slasher movie genre. No, it isn't. It is just a standard, bog standard, no frills slasher movie that embraces every cliche that was taken the piss off in Cabin in the Woods and Scream. It's all here, no frills, there you go. That's pretty much the movie, but let's get into a bit more detail on that, shall we, folks? It focuses on a group of spring breakers that head towards this kind of cabin in the woods that is apparently owned by one of the guys' dead uncle, who was kind of glossed over about the origin of that man. One of these characters, one of these girls, actually is the victim of another massacre that happened some time ago. She was the final girl involved in the kind of a previous massacre. Well, that's really kind of not used to its fullest degree, and I've got to say, Last Girl Standing did it better, because it kind of does the same thing. If you've seen Last Girl Standing, then this movie does, and that one did it better. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, they'll go off to this cabin in the woods, and of course they're having fun, all that, shagging everywhere, as you'd expect. But there seems to be a killer in the midst, killing them off one by one in gruesome fashion. Who will survive? Who will be the killer? And it's someone random in the woods, or is it one of our group? You have to watch the movie to find out. So let's discuss WTF. Right. Let's get some good stuff out of the way. I feel this movie is very well made. It's slick production. Its production value here looks up to a good professional standard. I thought the camera work was all very good. I thought it was very well lit. The sound design was all very good. The soundtrack, even the acting, I would say, was all pretty good. And then the characters are very well written, but the acting was good, particularly from one of the girls actually. And I've got to say, there are some fairly gruesome deaths here. So some of the kind of the variety of different kind of dispatching methods are sometimes quite gruesome. But let's get on with those pesky negatives, shall we? This, unfortunately, not the clever deconstruction of the genre that I thought it might be. It's just your bog standard slasher film with absolutely no frills. And it tries to have a bit of a twist at the end, and I feel it fails because it tips its hand too early about who the killer is. Accidentally, because I just feel you see, obviously, people getting killed, and it doesn't show you the character's face. So you think, okay, it's not showing me the face, therefore I clearly know it's a character that we've seen before. And when you look at the body shape, okay, that's pretty obvious who it is. And if you've seen any type of horror films, you think, okay, you can piece it together in no time. So you do not need to be a detective to work out who the killer is in this movie. The movie does try to kind of play with your expectations a little bit, but I don't feel it does it enough. So it's all pretty obvious. I've got to say as well, the characters here are so cliche. I mean, like I said, if you've seen Cabin in the Woods, all of these typical archetypes were, they were kind of like shown to be, this is what happens in every horror film. And it just does it. I mean, the kind of like, we have our typical kind of jock dickhead guy, but he's so over the top. I mean, he's just so over the top. I mean, why anyone would want to date him is ridiculous. And I don't think it's realistic because he's so over the top dickhead, the bitchy girl. Why would anyone want to be friends with her? The stoner guy, etc. They're all here. The only character that I would say was quite well written, there's this kind of like blonde girl, and she's kind of, you think maybe she's going to be a bit of a mean girl, but she actually seems to be quite layered. And she's the only one. She's the only one out of all of these characters that I feel are a little layered and kind of have a little bit more depth to them. But she's not the main character. But she was definitely the best performance, I would say, and also the best written character, because she actually seems the most normal out of all of them, and not a caricature. Now, I don't think the acting is necessarily bad, but I feel the writing of the characters are quite poor in this movie. So when it's all said and done, although it's an enjoyable slasher film, and if you can consume slasher films, you just like watching them, you don't require too much kind of thought in it, you may get a kick. I feel this is a fairly well made movie, but it's just so by the numbers in every other way. And I feel the frustrating thing with this movie, more than anything, is it was actually set up to be a little bit cleverer than it actually is. I feel the idea of having, like, one of the characters be a victim of a previous kind of massacre simply wasn't used enough. And the actual kind of, like, the killer itself, again, poorly done. Overall, not a bad film on a technical standard, I would say, but it's such a kind of, like, unmemorable film other than that. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.